There have been quite a few eruptions in the news lately. There's the eruption of Agung in Bali and Hawaii and now Fuego. So many people question whether there's an increase in rates of volcanism that we're seeing just now. And this isn't really the case. Of course, there are eruptions are happening all the time, and some make the news headlines and others don't. If we look at the statistics back in time, then the main thing we see is a reporting bias. So there are not many eruptions during World War II, for example, when people had other things to really worry about. If we go way back in geological time, then there are periods when the Earth has been more dynamic and more active, with plate tectonics speeding up, but now we're talking on timescales of hundreds of millions of years. In regions in Hawaii, for example, in Indonesia, there are agencies, institutes, observatories that do 24/7 volcano monitoring. So it's possible to make some kind of assessment of what the volcano might be gearing up to in the future. If we take a more kind of open skies view to where might the next big eruption be, of course it's likely to be in a volcanic region that we already know about. But I think one of the lessons of history, even recent history, is the really big eruptions have not happened at volcanoes that scientists were looking at. We tend to focus on volcanoes that have erupted in recent times, but the really big events can happen at volcanoes that have been quiet, have been dormant for many centuries or even millennia. And so if we take the Pinatubo eruption in 1991 in the Philippines, or El Chichon in Mexico in 1982, or more recently Chaiten in Chile, none of these volcanoes were on the scientific radar, but they all produced very large eruptions. Volcanoes can have a number of impacts on populations living close to the volcano. There are also effects volcanoes can have globally, very large eruptions, particularly ones in the tropical regions that emit a lot of sulfur into the stratosphere. This can change the climate. It can lead to a surface cooling. It's something that we've seen looking at volcanism back in the past. For example, the 1815 eruption of Tambora led to the so-called year without a summer of 1816. In the future, we can't rule out a very great eruption of that scale.